Welcome to Late Night Gaming. I'm Poem. I'm with Mick, Bobber, Woo, Solo, and our pal Thork is joining us this week as well. Welcome, Thork.
Hey
And
guys.
you're going to be reviewing some spoilers that came out recently in the last couple weeks. Got a lot of cards to get through, so might as well get started here. The first card is Infiltrator's Skill. It's a one-cost aggression upgrade that reads attached unit gains Saboteur and it gives you 1/1 stat line. What do you think about Infiltrator's Skill?
I don't have much to say on it. I think it's too low impact to be worth a deck slot right now. I could see it possibly being a sideboard card if shields go absolutely crazy in like a meta game where you would just like bring them in to counter shields. But it's just not doing enough to be worth a card slot, I think, on its own.
Do you think like as soon as we start playing with sideboards, like this is an auto include in that?
No, I don't even think it's an auto include in the sideboard, but it's something I would consider if like a meta game. If there was like blue Luke is like top tier and you have to like be prepared for shields on 8 different cards, then like maybe that's a thing you would pack with you to an event or something.
Okay. That sounds about right. Anybody else want to chime in on Infiltrator Skill?
I
Yeah,
think. Oh, go
go ahead,
Go ahead.
Bo.
We'll hear from Thork. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah.
So my take on the card is I think it's pretty good actually because I agree that it's low impact, but in a game where you draw two cards a turn, um you are definitely okay having some card like this in the game, and it's the only card in the game that can boost stats for one resources universally across the board to any card in the game. Can be equipped to anything, which is very flexible. You get a +1/+1 permanent, and then the saboteur is on top of that. I don't know if it's gonna be main deck material, but I think it's very good in aggro, and I think that I've been playing this in main deck aggro. I had a good result with it. We'll see if it makes the cut, and also it's also a cheap card to trigger off Fighter for Freedom. So Fighter for Freedom likes those very cheap red cards, and that's a good one to put in your deck. So I like the card.
Does Fighters for Freedom have to be a unit, or is it just any red card? I thought it was
Any
unit.
red card.
Oh, okay.
Let me double check that, but
No, it's correct. Any red card triggers
Oh,
fighters.
that's strong. Okay. All right. So the Green Squadron A Wing is a two-cost space unit. It's an aggression heroism card with a 1/3 stat line with Rebel, and it is a raid 2. McBobber, thoughts on the A Wing?
I think this is pretty obviously a good card. I mean, pretty much anyone will tell you that this card's great. Uh, it hits for 3. It's got 3 health, which is hard to deal with. It's only 2 cost. You're going to see this all over the place in pretty much any red hero deck. There's not much more to say about it than that. It's good.
Universally good. I think we're all in agreement on that. Ardent
yeah,
sympathizer. You got anything on this one, Thork?
yeah. I was just saying that the I agree this is very strong, and I was like, this card has made Sabina grow from early average to very good. Just one card. So this has so much impact on the game.
Okay, you're high on that one. What about the Ardent Sympathizer, the 3-cost aggression unit with a 3/3, and it's a trooper. It gives you a +2 attack if you have initiative. Solo, you got any thoughts on this guy?
I think this is a. This card just shows like the design aspect of aggression. Like aggression wants to keep tempo. I think um you're trying to do stuff fast and keep tempo on your opponent. So this card definitely gives you the benefit of that. Being a 5/3 for 3 is good. Obviously, it is just basic if you don't have initiative. So it's very important that you keep initiative if you're going to be playing this card. Otherwise, you might have to like look the other way.
Yeah. Seems like it's an auto include or close to it. Or actually not.
Yeah.
Wait,
I
what?
don't know about that. I don't know about that actually.
Yeah,
It's not
I don't think
auto
so.
include. It's not an auto include, but it's like a specific aggression strategy.
Okay.
You meant an auto exclude.
Okay. I was distracted trying to mute my Discord notifications and I was thinking about A-Wing still. That's the auto include. What about
Yeah.
mission briefing?
Yeah, we can say more on that guy. He's
Okay.
not good, right? There's you can't. It trades with 2 drops too easily. It's like
All right. You think
I
it's
think
it's
if
I
you,
filler?
agree. He's not good.
I think it has to be in a very specific deck that's very, very fast. If you can always guarantee he's hitting for 5, that's not too bad. But man, he really has to be hitting for 5 to make that worth it.
You think there's anything with Trooper?
Agreed.
We only have one card right now that cares about Trooper, and I don't really much care for that card. Maybe if we get some more, that might be relevant. But yeah, and it's also not in aggression, so that's also kind of awkward.
yeah. The thing is,
I
even
just
if you
think
have initiative, it still only has 3 toughness. It's still just gonna eat a 2-drop and die.
All right. So
yeah, I just
guys,
like we don't have the cards to support the archetype that this is supposed to be in right now.
all right. Seems good.
The other problem is like if you're playing aggro, usually you don't have initiative because you play more cards than your opponent. So that's
You're
a
playing
big
Precisely,
drawback.
yeah.
Draft
That's a
card.
very good point.
What about mission
Yeah,
briefing?
draft card.
3 costs, choose a player, they draw 2. Thorrk, you want to chime in on this one?
Yeah, sure. So, it's worse than any other card draw in the game, but it is also unconditional, so it's way more flexible. So you can play it in a lot of decks. So I think it's going to be very good in draft for sure. I think in constructed, if you can't play any other card draw available and you need card draw, you're going to be playing that. But it's going to be situational. I think it's okay. But it's not going to be in every deck for sure.
So I think I like including this in my decks, and then if I'm top decking or whatever, like late game, it's really nice. And then if it's early game, you just resource it. So like I really like the card. I think it's good in like Boba Fett, who needs to eat and needs card draw. So I like the card. Initially, everybody was saying it was draft filler or whatever, but I mean,
It's better than draft filler for sure. It's definitely better than draft filler. It's gonna see plain constructed because, as I said, it's inconditional. It's card draw that is inconditional. In Boba, personally, if I want to play card draw, I would rather play I Am Your Father because like draw 3 for 3 most of the time. But I agree with you that it's a solid card.
Here's my thing though. I guess early game is where it's bad, and late game is where it gets really good. Because like, do you really want to give up your turn 2 to draw 2 cards?
well, like
No,
you're not
you don't
playing
play
this
this
on
early game.
turn 2. Okay, here's what happens. You're playing an aggression deck. You're trying to win early, but then if the game gets prolonged, you need to be able to like have the cards to be able to keep playing your little guys and fill the board and spend your resources. Like I think this card's pretty important in aggression to just not be a one-trick pony, like trying to kill the guy right away. Like, you know, you can keep the game going and just keep extending the game and like, be good in the late game with a card like this.
I guess you're saying like if the aggro player, the opponent of the aggro player survives the beginning
That's
onslaught,
right.
you
Yep.
need to be able to keep the curve going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
Gotcha.
turning into almost like a ramp deck or like a, you know, you have, you know, an ability to win the game in the late game, the deep rounds. Cards are pretty important for that. That's been my experience, just playing like Boba Fett like that. But
It's nice to have the option to do something if you expect your opponent's just like holding a takedown or something and like wants you to play a thing and you're just like, nope, I'll do this. And then you can make, if you get a good read on what your opponent's doing, sometimes it just, you can squeeze it in and to a decent turn.
yeah,
I think I'll be Mr. Negative on mission briefing. I'm not a fan. I'd rather play I'm Your Father. I I just don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. but
Oh
then you
God, I
don't. Not every
disagree
deck
strong.
play black.
That's
Oh,
true.
you're
Maybe you're a
wrong.
hero and you're desperate for card draw, but man,
I
I'd
am
have
your
to be
father
really
is not
desperate to play
card draw
this.
though. I don't understand why you think it's card
90% of
draw.
like if you play it on the right target, it's almost always card draw. That's my experience with it.
It's usually card draw, and if it's not, then 3 for 7 is pretty good.
It's whichever one of the two is going to help you less, is what it is.
Well, 3 for 7 is still a great card. I'm happy to have that.
I've moved.
But it's not 3 for 7 when the 3 for 7 is good. It's
Then I get my
Depends when
card
you play.
draw.
It depends
I've
when you play it. Like
you
if
got
you
you
play
got
it on
some
a
nuts. You got some nuts.
I've been playing mission briefings over I Am Your Fathers for what Woo is talking about. I just want the cards. I don't really like. I wanted in Boba Fett early in the game when they have like little guys that like I'm gonna try to I Am Your Father and they're just gonna let me kill their little guy. Like I don't want to do that. I want the cards. Like I don't want to like do 2 damage to some Viper probe droid. You know what I'm saying? Like I would rather like just my card do what I want it to do.
but you more often than not you're gonna find a big target for it. And then when you find a big target, it is almost always growth for you.
It seems like
But
we
then
got
but
yeah.
then your big target is going to eat you.
Yeah, but then same argument if you had a mission briefing, then you just
Yeah,
draw
then
one
why
less
play
card.
mission briefing?
Why wouldn't it be playing mission briefing and that's yeah. we can we're, we'll see
Yeah, I
what
think I'm gonna have
happens
to
with this.
side. I think I'm gonna have to side with McBobber and Thorrk on this one because yeah, like if your thing is like worried about it not being able to do what you do, like you're gonna draw cards with mission briefing and you're still gonna get blown up. So it doesn't really matter. So at least you have another ulterior option over this card. So yeah, I think I agree. Mission briefing. Obviously, if you're not villain, then cool, but
Just play both, draw.
I was surprised we were going to be talking about this card for so long, but it is what it is. What about the
Well, you know how it is. We always talk the longest about the worst cards.
Bazinga?
We're not there yet. That's the next one.
All right, yeah, we have one of the worst ones coming up here in a second. What about the Academy Defense Walker, the 6 cost Vigilance Villainy 5/5 Imperial Vehicle Walker Sentinel? When played, give an experience token to each friendly damage unit. I guess this would be my turn to talk about this. I haven't really seen like had a lot of experience with this card, like playing it in my decks. I don't really play a lot of blue decks and stuff. But I have, when it has hit the table, it's been pretty annoying to deal with. I mean, it seems like a pretty playable card. I mean, you play a blue deck, you probably considering slamming this. Anybody else chiming in? Mid tier?
Yeah, so I think it's actually very close to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's being one of the best cards in the game. So that makes the card pretty solid. Obviously, it's not nearly as good, but if you play in the right deck, the self-damage deck, then it's a solid addition. I don't think it's enough to make the self-damage deck good, but it makes it one step closer.
Yeah, it's stuff they made for Krennic. And I don't know how good it is outside of Krennic, or if you will play it outside of Krennic, but it's pretty good with him, I think.
I like
Or
him
even
in
better,
red blue
GI.
Vader a lot, actually.
All right, there you go.
It's just I think blue villain right now is not at the best place in general.
Yeah, I agree with this. It's the
Okay.
worst color combination in the game right now, so that doesn't really help.
We're not seeing this card a lot just because people aren't really playing the like slam it on the table. What about this freaking card right here, dude? Search your feelings. Were you gonna say something, Will?
I was just saying it's another blue villain card. Interestingly enough.
Right. This one's a 4-cost event. Search your deck for a card and draw it. Woo, do you want to tell us about your thoughts on searching your feelings? Search your feelings.
There's not a single card in this game that's worth paying an extra 4 plus an action to get into play. Does not happen. These cards are never good. They've never been good in any card game ever. They have to.
Careful. No,
I
okay. I
I
will.
will. I'm going on following my heuristics of like card games. 4 cost is way too much. It's you can't take a turn off to get a card. Makes another. Your overall barrage costs 9 now. Like
The only question I really have about this card is whether it's worse than Tactical Master. And my initial feeling is that it is worse. I think this is the single worst card we've seen.
So I definitely have some things to say about this card. So this card's clearly similar to the card Diabolic Tutor from Magic the Gathering. That card only costs 2 in Magic, but that is one of the few universally banned cards in Magic. Even in formats in Magic where you play with banned cards, it's still banned because it is considered one of the best cards that's ever been made in that game. And
Diabolic Tutor costs 4, and it's reprinted all the time, and it's awful, and no one plays with it.
Well,
I think
the
you were
original
talking
cost
about
2.
Demonic Tutor, but
Well, they've made newer versions. Now it costs 4. More recent ones.
yes, Demonic Tutor is the old one that costs 2.
Okay,
And then they
but
fixed it, right? They
yeah,
made it cost
the point
4.
is to balance it. They've had to make it cost 4. So I think that's why this costs 4 as well. Clearly, it's been inspired by the Magic card. It's a combo enabler though, right? Like this is to set
Yes.
up something extremely specific, and we just don't have the pieces that are extremely specific yet that you would piece together. So whatever this is for, we don't have it.
I don't think
That's
we're ever getting that, buddy.
I can't imagine a combo deck even a combo deck that wants to set up pieces can't afford to pay an extra 4 for its cards.
if we're
Right?
getting into
Like
games where you have like 14 resources in play, which according to them has happened in testing, and we have cards like Devastator that cost 10, so I could see it. When you get into those late, top deck stage of the game, you go get whatever card you want that's going to make you win the game. Oh, why not? Even outside
If
of
paying,
just combo pieces enablers.
so basically, the short story for this card is if paying 4 win you the game, then this card is worth it. And I think eventually, if given enough time, this card will eventually become good. Unless they print better tutors afterwards. But if this is the only tutor card in the entire game, eventually this card will be good. It's only a matter of time. Because if there's gonna be combo decks eventually, and if paying full give you the piece you want actually wins you the game, then it's totally worth it. But it's gonna take a while for this card to be good for sure.
or maybe just the combo deck still won't run it, and the combo decks will be good without it. That's
Please,
how I like.
please
I
put
don't
this in your
see.
deck against me. Please do that.
Well, none of them are saying that it's playable right now. I
Yeah.
just would argue that I don't know like what kind of world a deck like I don't know what would need to happen for something like this to be playable.
I think
Here's
eventually
my
I will
hot
make a
take.
deck that runs this.
Here's my hot take. By set 3, this will be an auto include. End of story.
No
no.
way.
By set 3, it'll be a hot auto
No
include.
way.
Yeah.
A note to
Yeah.
include. What do you mean?
It
Like
means
in
every
every
blue
deck
deck will
ever.
run 3 copies of it. That's what he's saying.
No,
Okay,
Yeah.
not a
that-
0%
that is
chance of
absolutely
that.
absurd.
By set 3. By set 3.
You're
Not
saying like
now.
Red Hero will be running 3 of this card?
Can I make a notification?
Yeah, why not pay 6 for it?
Can I make a calendar
Not Red
invite?
Hero.
Invite some calendar alert. Come on.
Not Red Hero. I'm just saying, obviously, within the design space, within the constructed space, like I'm not saying you pay an extra 2 for this. I'm just saying if it's blue, they're running it.
No way.
I just don't think
set 3.
every card is being made to be like some competitive powerhouse. Like it's a cool card that's like probably going to be fun at like kitchen table games and like maybe multiplayer. It's probably better in multiplayer where there's like you're not getting targeted as much. Like
I don't
it's
know. I
okay
just
for
think
this to not be a tournament playable card.
searching for an answer when you need an answer is powerful.
No, because you need the answer right away. You don't need to
You
the
can't
turn
pay
after.
9 for overwhelming barrage. It's not an answer to anything. It's
No, it has to be in a for this card to be good. It has to be in a combo deck that
Exodia.
win you the game if you
You
get
need
the most.
Exodia, right?
You can't play this in a control deck. It's too expensive. You have to play this in a combo deck. really specifically. And I think in a combo deck it has potential. Even in a combo deck, it won't be an auto clear. It will depend on a lot of things, but it has potential. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bury the hatchet here. That one.
Well, McBobber's right though. We spend the most time
I
on
agree with
cards that
that. That
on
yeah,
cards that
we just
some
spent the
people
most
think
time
are.
on the worst card. What about
Do you think this is
general?
worse than the other card?
We're,
I mean, Pope said that's the worst card in the game,
I
pretty
think
much.
this is literally the worst card in
Oh,
the
come
entire
on,
game. I
man.
would play the tactical
Oh,
mastery
Nah.
thing ahead of this. Give me a little extra 2 damage for that round, and so I could clean somebody up. Like I will
I think you
never
need to
play this
search your
card.
feelings. I think you need to search your feelings.
it's got cool art.
Does it? Somebody said that looks like Mon Mothma in a Vader mask. Now I can't
On Mothma's not even blonde.
now I can't unsee it, you know.
You need to search your feelings.
Somebody doesn't even know what Mon Mothma looks like.
All right, here's the next card. General Tagi, is that how you say it? He's a 2 cost command villainy, 2/2 Imperial. When played, you can give experience tokens to 3 trooper units. McBauer, you want to tell us your thoughts on Tagi?
I wanted to like Taggy, but he's just you can't stick cards on the board; they just die. So he's not good. That's it.
You don't want to play him early. Can't play him on turn 1. He sucks. You don't really want to play him late because you got all these resources to spend and he only costs 2. You may or may not have troopers down. It's just the guy seems bad. Thork, what do you think about this? Do you have some other opinion about Tagi?
I think he like I don't want to say like I mean obviously if we talk right now, yes, he is it's too difficult to have a board state, but in the future if there's like a lot of card that you're playing one card and you can put multiple units on the battlefield at the same time, like that sort of things, like the card becomes really good. So
I was
um
literally saying that when we were off stream.
Yeah, if we have like
I agree. I agree with
token
you.
troopers, then sure, but we don't have that as a thing.
yeah, I mean so if we have to judge it from what it is right now in with what we have, no, it's not good.
I think it's really not really playable there. What about the seasoned shore trooper? He's a 2 cost command villainy, also 2/3 Imperial trooper. If you have 6 more resources, he gets +2 solo. Thoughts on the seasoned shore trooper?
I like him. He's I put him in my Vader deck, running him currently. Uh he helps with your early game. And he's not bad early. And as the game goes on, he gets better. So he becomes a 4/3 for 2. I mean, that ain't bad. That's not bad at all. But it really depends on how quick these games are. So if the games are fast and you're not even getting the 6 resources, then this isn't as good. But if you're doing what I think Command is trying to do, I think you'll get the value for this always.
Having a turn 1 play is a very important thing in this game. He allows that, but then he's also good later in the game too. So I think this guy is universally good, and we're all agree on that.
Yeah, second best 2-drop in the game after Sabine.
Yep, I think he's up there. He's pretty dang good. And here's another one we like, I think. Bright Hope, the 2/6 for cost rebel vehicle transport with Sentinel. You can return a non-leader ground unit to its owner's hand, friendly, so basically your hand. If you do, you draw a card. Thork, you want to tell us about your thoughts on Bright Hope?
Yeah, sure. Bright Orb is interesting because he's very good against Imperial and a lot less good against Rebel because most Imperial space units have 2 toughness, so he blocks them very very well. Against the Rebel, it's not as good. But I think very solid. The bounce ability is great in Solo Green because Solo Green has so many entering battlefield effects with Leia, Akbar. You bounce Leia back, you bounce Akbar, you replay him. So I think it's solid. I don't think it's going to see play everywhere, but it's a pretty solid card.
I know Wu has strong
That's my
feelings
take.
about Bright Hope.
Yeah, I'm higher. I think this is like one of the best cards I think in the game right now. This like, I mean, he's right that it's better against villain stuff because the red spaceships do nothing to this. Not even Boba Fett's thing can punch through this in one hit. It's like this thing's a brick wall against any like deck trying to win in space. But I mean, Rebel, like, I guess that it's not trading well into like A Wing or the Restore arc, but it's still like blocking them repeatedly. And it's a Rebel too. It can get beefed up by Wing Leader. It can get Fleet Lieutenanted. It like lets you re-trigger all your like when played effects. It can like heal your like your cheap units. It's really good with R2 also, just because you can like replay the R2 for one. It's so easy. So you just like bounce it, draw a card, play R2 again. Like, I don't know.
It seems
It
really
costs
good. Yeah.
4. It's like it's not there's not a big investment here to just like it can't even be like takedown. It's just like so obnoxious. It's one of the most obnoxious cards to see when you're trying to do anything in the air.
So is this an S tier card easily?
I don't know about S tier, but it's
Uh,
definitely
it's
I think this is an A tier
it's
card.
it's not overwhelming barrage tier. So
Okay.
He
Okay.
said it's one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah.
it's not the best card in the game.
Yeah, it's not S tier, but like but Wu was talking about how he played a lot of Red Boba Fett and he kind of like had to almost stop playing that, or like he plays a lot less, like it's not his main because of
It
this card.
completely retooled it too, because you can't win against this card. Like this card alone, you can't win with 3/2 space units anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
It's good.
aerial supremacy in the red villain was definitely a thing until this card came out for sure.
I think
Okay.
what hold this card, the reason why I'm not as hot as you guys on this card is because I mean for me to rate a card very high, it needs to be very good in or at least good in any situation. And the problem with this card is that there's going to be a lot of cases where it's pretty underwhelming. Obviously, in the right scenarios against the right deck, it's amazing. I think it's going to be at least a very, very, very good sideboard card, and obviously we're going to see this in main deck being played as well.
This is a meta relevant card for the next couple years. We're gonna be talking about this card for a while. Wedge, 5 cost, 5/5.
It's a bright hope.
Yeah, there you go. He's got Rebel. He gives your vehicles 1/1 in ambush. Um, I think I was more excited about this initially. It's like, okay, you can do Rebel vehicles and then buff with like Dodonna and this guy and like, get the whole dream team together. And it's just like, they just kill these guys, Like you play them, they just kill them or whatever. And then you don't get the buff on the vehicle or whatever. Like it's just doesn't end up like working the way you think it's going to. I don't think that's been my experience with Wedge and Dodonna.
Yeah, I think if you play, if you're playing against blue, you just cry, right? Because like blue just has every answer for these type of cards. That's why like I put this in the same space as Dodonna and Veers and all that stuff. Like I'm not currently playing that stuff really. Like it's hard to keep that stuff on the board, and it's too crippling it's too crippling because your opponent focuses this down, and then it just has such a big effect. Like you're expecting big damage, you're expecting big defense, and you just lose it all because they took down one card. This card would be better if it just gave experience tokens. That would be better. But this last thing, I need you on the field to have an effect, is where I had issues with these type of cards.
Yeah, you need to almost completely build around trying to protect him and the Dodonna and stuff like that. Like build some kind of sentinel wall, but then you're trying to play vehicles, so that they need to be like ground vehicles with like sentinel or something. Like I don't know, like I don't see a deck where this works. Anybody else got opinions on this guy?
No, I agree. I think if we get like a lot of good ground vehicles for rebels, this card becomes a lot better. But until then, it's not very good.
Yeah, it's ground vehicles. That's what you need, so you can, protect him with those vehicles basically and prevent him from getting blown out.
'Cause
Then
the
they
big
just
deal about this card is the ambush. Is giving ambush is very strong. But once again, if there's no ground vehicle, no big deal.
okay. Here's one that we might have a similar rating on. 97th Legion, the 7 cost, and it gets 1/1 for each resource you control. I forgot whose turn it was. I think we're on
I think it's Woo.
Woo. Yep.
Yeah, I don't like the cards like this. I think are like okay when they like cost X or whatever like variable, and you can like pay whatever you want, and they come in as like a 3/3 or a 4/4 or 5/5, and they're like always under rate, but they're never. But they fill your curve at any point. But like this is just like literally stat stick. It costs 7. It's just it's not doing it for me. I don't see enough impact when you play it. Doesn't have overwhelm. It doesn't. Yeah, not a fan.
This is that whole they think the game is gonna last until like 13 or 14 resources or something. You know, like in their testing or whatever. Like we were talking about that earlier. So maybe
I
that'll
mean,
be
it's
the case eventually. Like the games will be longer than they are now, and then this becomes better, I guess. In that case,
yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice option, right? Like if you want options, this is a good option. I don't think it's the option, but if you have nothing else and you're in turn 7 and you need to put a threat on the board that requires at least 2 card commitment, then this is your card. That's the good thing about this card. You have outside of Vanquish, you need 2 cards to deal with this.
yeah, we're ready to move on to the next one. We've got Devastator. It's a 10 cost base unit. It's a 10/10 Imperial Vehicle Capital Ship Sentinel Overwhelm. When played, you may deal damage to a unit equal the number of resources you control. McBobber, thoughts on the Devastator?
This is the big daddy of units. That's our biggest unit yet. It's got 2 keywords. It's pretty exciting, but it's hard to get on the table. That's for sure. This might be the card Galactic Ambition was made for, or maybe there's even something bigger out there. I don't know, but it's hard to get this on the table. But when you can, it's a good time. It's hard to rate this thing. It's so hard to play. It does have Sentinel, which is pretty cool. If you're not playing against blue, it is. If they are blue, you're always scared of getting vanquished. But it's pretty cool. You get to blow something up when you play it. But it's definitely a fun card. There is the dream. It's probably a meme, but if you have Piet on the table, you could Galactic Ambition this out to blow something up and then ambush, kill something, and hit with Overwhelm, put some serious pressure on the table, and maybe set up for the win on the next round. But that's probably just more for fun than being competitive. But I did manage to pull it off once, and it was pretty fun. But it only worked one time, and I lost every other game.
Yeah, I pulled it off myself, and the person I was playing scooped. But at the end of the day, if you're playing this card, you probably pretty much won the game. I don't see your opponent coming back from this. And I think if you're playing this card, you probably played Relentless the turn before that to protect it from getting blown up. I don't see a world where you didn't play Relentless unless you just didn't pull it. But yeah.
I think this is kind of a poem card in a way, like trying to cheat this out, that kind of thing. If those kind of options become available, maybe trying to figure out how to
Friends
get,
and High.
yeah, like trying to get stuff like this to work that people kind of don't really focus on, and then it can be kind of very powerful if you can master that strategy. But yeah, so far it's not looking too hot. I'm not sure about the Galactic Ambition. That seems very, very punishing.
It's a high cost.
I'm
Palpatine.
I'm I'm running this card in my Vader deck, and so far I have good. I think it's a very matchup dependent card. So against blue and yellow, it's not great because it's answers. But if you're playing against something that doesn't play blue or yellow, then suddenly the card is insane because it has no answer. You gotta play it right, but in my view, deck I play tons of ramp. If you're playing green black, then suddenly you have 9 ramp card in the entire deck. That started to be a lot. Unfortunately, the rest of the deck is pretty trash right now, but once again, as we get more green black card, and suddenly you can pay green black ramp, and then you got 9 ramp card in the deck, and suddenly it becomes a lot more realistic to play that card.
They play a Tarkin situation, get it just ramped out as soon as you can, and just have it hit, and just
Yeah, hopefully something else than Tarkin, something like a commander that would be expensive like Vader, that would be green black. That would be either Palpatine or maybe Thrawn, like one of those two. I could be green black, and then
yeah, maybe there's a one of those green
I
guys
definitely think
like
a
a
Thrawn is
Thrawn.
gonna win
Yeah,
this.
maybe Thrawn gives you like a way to get a resource or something down, or like ramp somehow the leader.
we have enough ramp like this. We just need a leader that is good with ramp, which we already have, which is Vader. But then we need a green black leader, sorry, that is good with ramp. Then we can play command on top of the other 2 ramp cards, and then you got this critical mass of ramp, and you got a good leader that you can ramp into as well.
All right, next
There's a
card
lot of
here.
Vader talk here. You know I like that.
We got
I know
Hera.
Vader is amazing right now, but it is only gonna get stronger if we get more stuff like this.
I agree. We're
Got
talking
Hera
about
here.
ladies.
She ignores the aspect penalty on the Spectre cards you play, and then when deployed, she comes in on 6 resources, and she's a 4/6 Rebel Twi'lek Spectre. Ignore the aspect on Spectre cards, and on attack, you may give an experience token to another unique unit. And I think we were. Thorrk was here. I was here. Boo, McBobber, Solo on Hera. What are your thoughts on Hera Solo?
It's way too early for this, right? Like, it's just so hard to gauge. You know, obviously, the good news is the Spectre cards that we do have look very promising. Like, I'm a big fan of what's her name, Sabine. I'm a big fan of hers, but you know, we need more. That's really it. It's a constructed card. It's a rare leader. We need more. That's all I can really say.
I think we all are gonna have the same take. We just need more Spectre, and then it might be good.
Yeah,
The
we're missing
payoff.
the team.
Yeah,
Yeah, the leader itself is like really weak. Like the card itself, this Tarkin's ability, which she costs 6 to bring out, 5 to bring out, 6, 6.
I'm leaning
I will.
towards weak as a leader. I think she's be out, but see.
I'll say this. I think Spectre is going to be strong. I think she's going to be strong over time, like in a few sets. But early,
I don't,
maybe not.
I don't think we're gonna get. I think the opposite. I think that she either is good in this set or she's never gonna be good. Because here's the thing: specters are really it's a small scope in the story of Star Wars. We're gonna get a lot of specters on this first set because that's theme around like Rebel and stuff, Mark of the
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion. But I don't think we're gonna get a lot of specters in the future. So I think she's gonna be good at launch because of all the support she gets, or either she's never gonna play again because I don't think she's gonna get better over time.
Yeah, I think I agree.
All right. What about the? Let's see if we agree on the Mining Guild Tie Fighter. It's a 1 cost, cunning 1/2 fringe vehicle fighter. On attack, you may spend 2. If you do, draw a card. Thork, thoughts on the Mining Guild Tie Fighter?
Okay, so I think it's weak because first of all, 1-2 for 1 is far worse than 2-1 for 1. Like far worse. Um, the on attack ability is expensive. It's very, very, very slow. Only works once per turn. So I think there's a world where I can see this play in like a very slow control deck that would need some draw, but draw is not even that good in Stars Unlimited. So I think it's unlikely to see play in Constructed. I'll be very surprised that sees plays in Constructed, unless it's some sort of weird deck that needs some cheap space vehicle and puts a lot of upgrade on them, and you playing TIE Fighter, you want to have another one. Like I could see some weird scenario in which this card would see play, but my first thought is like it's not good.
I I am kind of in general agreement with you, with the exception that I think Boba Fett does like this card. Sometimes he has $1 he's trying to spend, and sometimes he needs to pay 2 to draw a card. So this card is being tested right now in that deck, and I think it kind of does fit in there. And so, but that's like a really niche situation. A single leader, I think Boba Fett does like this guy. I don't think the
Would you not
other.
rather play? Would you not rather play TIE Fighter?
Well, the TIE Fighter is already in there. Like he generates that one resource, and you just like, sometimes you need to draw cards with Boba. Like he's slamming down stuff all the time. He's generating resources, and so if they don't kill this guy like on turn 4 or 5, or that big Boba turn where you have the 8 money, like if you don't have the exact eight resources worth of cards to spend that turn, like at least you're getting a card draw off of it. Like I think it's playable in that deck. It might not be the first card you put in when you're deck building. I think it's worth testing it at least.
You're the Boba expert, so you'll tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm excited for having this card available in my
I
Boba
also
deck.
want to test it in Han as well, because Han can run out of cards. So
I think this card has
Yeah.
potential.
Yeah, I think this is something that will get better over time. I think there's probably going to be like a mining guild engine of some kind. I could see happening. So
I always like to consider 1-drops. I don't like to write them off.
yeah, that's where I was at. 1-drop can't really go wrong.
right.
No, they can't. Like I think 1-drops are not as good in this game as they are in other card games, because you start the game with 2 resources.
At the same
Well,
time, as you draw
Death
2
Troopers.
cards, you can flood the board pretty easily.
Not Death Troopers. Stormtroopers will disagree with you, sir. Stormtroopers
So
is one of the best 1-drops in the game.
I found that because this card exists, I don't
It's
need
the
to.
best 1-drop. Sorry.
I just don't need to play like some bad 2-drops in a Boba deck. Like I don't need that Ozzel guy anymore, because then I can a certain percentage of time I'm gonna get the TIE Fighter and a Stormtrooper, or the TIE Fighter and the TIE LN. Like I'm gonna get the 2 1-drop play on turn 1, so I can just slam both of those. It's so that's a consideration too. If you get enough 1-drops in your deck, like you can just drop 2 on that first turn. You don't have to run the bad 2-drops. What were you gonna say though,
Yeah.
Thorrk?
So I want to say to answer to the Stormtrooper. So Stormtrooper is, yes, it's one of the best 1-drop in the game, and yet it's still not it's not an amazing card. So it kind of proved my point. Like even the best 1-drop in the game is still not that good.
I don't know if it's the best 1-drop. I mean, R2 by a margin. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, R2 is the best, yeah, for sure. But he was saying that Stormtrooper is the best one. So it's not. It's second best, and he's not even that good.
Yeah, I like this card. We'll kind of see where it goes, and I think that we got to the end. We got to the finish line. So, I want to thank all the crew for showing up tonight and giving their takes on this, and then obviously Thork, thank you for stopping by and giving us your opinions. We don't want to be just like an echo chamber, kind of like having the same opinions about cards and stuff all the time. So it's nice to get a different perspective in there.
Oh, yeah, love
Awesome.
having
Thanks
you
for
on,
having
man.
me.
Right. I think we'll wrap it there. And if you made it this far, you're my hero.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Uh,
Lord Vader.